Hey everybody, Rick with Rick's Adventures. The topic of this video is going to be my experiences driving in Thailand. And I hope to pass on some good information to you and help you so you can get over the Thailand culture shock of driving here. So with that said, let's get on with the video. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about was if you're a person from the United States like I am, and you are used to having a lot of organization, let's say, in the way your driving is done and the way people drive, you're not going to see it here. If you are a person that is easily enticed into road rage or your temperament is just not good and you're not a patient person, I'd suggest you not even drive over here because you're going to have patience. It is going to be a culture shock as far as the driving world goes. First off, for me, when I came over, I already knew this part, but I didn't realize how difficult it would be to acclimate. Everything is 180-degree opposite. So you're driving on the left side of the road, you're sitting in the right side of the vehicle is where the steering wheel is at. And with like on Tia's vehicle, that what makes it more difficult. Hers is a standard, a little SUV stick. Well, that makes the shift pattern backwards. While I drive standards all my life, everything is in reverse. You know, your turn signals, your lighting, just all of your controls, your shifting pattern, everything's opposite. You're driving on the opposite side of the road. Roundabouts go the opposite way. So I would suggest when you first come over, take the time and just ride with somebody. If if you take a grab or you take some other method of transportation and just kind of study how the traffic lights work. I noticed something else that's really different for me is some of their traffic lights will have a green light, but then it will also have a green arrow since everything's on the left. And you'll drive up and you might see green and think you can turn, but really you don't have the arrow to be able to turn. And it's all on the same lighting system. So there's just lots of little things that in my opinion, you should ride around with somebody. You should take, a few days and just kind of see what's going on, see what you think. One of the other things that I noticed is now this is in the village areas. There's pretty well no speed limits. I mean, there is. Let me put this a different way. They do have speed limits, but you don't see police setting out doing speed traps like you do in the USA. So you'll see a lot of people that'll just be driving like, hell on wheels, and other people driving slowly. The only time I see that you really get a ticket over here is whenever you're on one of the more major highways and they have the cameras that can catch you because they'll clock your speed, they'll take the picture, and then all of a sudden you run a red light or and this is in the bigger cities now. I'm not talking about the villages. You run a red light or you're speeding, and all of a sudden it'll show up on the doorstep. I know this for a fact because Tia ran a red light, and it was just about 2 weeks later she got a notice that she owed, I can't remember, so many $100 for running this red light to mail in. So you will get it there, but out in the villages, you just don't see the police a lot. You don't see police patrolling. You don't see police walking up and down the streets. You don't see, speed traps where they're hiding off on the side of the road somewhere. So that's very, very different. Now, one thing they do enforce heavily during New Year's and during certain holidays is DUI checkpoints. Especially during New Year's, because New Year's here will last for about 7 days, depending on which village you're in or area you're in. Some people do it 10, 7, right around in there. But to them, the New Year's holiday is a big, big thing, and they will have DUI checkpoints everywhere. I mean, you guys, I've never seen so many DUI checkpoints. They'll take every intersection, even out in the village. They had two within probably a 3 mile stretch, and then we'd go around a corner and there'd be another one. They will pull you over, they will check you, and you will get, ticketed. Now, I don't know what the ramifications are if you get a DUI here. I've never had anything like that. Tia's never had anything like that. I'd have to check into it. If some of you guys know and you've had that happen to you, post me a comment and let me know because I'm uncertain at this point. One of the other things that you need to watch here is, let's see, and this is just kind of a cultural thing. Thai people drive all over the road. And when I say that out in these village areas, it is just not uncommon to see them driving down the middle of the road, and they'll get over as another car approaches them. You're also going to see more of these little 150cc scooters than you can imagine. And that's mainly because it's cost-effective transportation. That these people that don't have a lot of money can buy one of these things for a couple thousand US dollars, get financing on it, and they've got reliable transportation. A lot of them will put these little homemade sidecars on them in baskets, especially out in the villages, and they'll have their kids or other people sit in them, or they also use them to haul things around, on the farms and between the villages and supplies, that type of thing. Generally, the roads here that I've been on anyway, they'll have what would be in the USA a shoulder marking and shoulder of the road to pull over on. That's actually a driving lane here, and motorbikes use that lane because it's the slow lane that's on the far left side of the road. And they'll use that for all of those little motorbikes and motorcycles running up and down through there. And then I do see cars use it too if there's not a motorbike in it. But, beware and really watch close for these little scooters, because they are everywhere. When you're setting at a stop sign, they'll come up and weave in and out and do lane checks and cuts and go in between cars and pull in front of them. And it's common. I'm not complaining about it because that's just their culture and what they do over here. And they all do it and everybody's used to it. And that's how it is. So if that type of thing is going to bother you, you don't want to drive over here, because that is going to happen every place you go. And I do mean every place. Hang on just a minute, guys. I lost my computer there where it had my notes on it. The other thing you got to really watch over here are the soy dogs. Now, those dogs will be just about every place like the little motorcycles. But the thing with these soy dogs is they'll lay out in the middle of the road. I don't know if it's because they like the heat of the road or what it is, but they'll sleep out in the middle of the road. So when you're driving, you don't want to hit a dog. I don't want to. I'm sure you don't want to. And Thai people especially don't want you to. They have laws about cruelty and hitting dogs. You never try to, hit a dog. So when you're coming up, what took me time to get used to, most of the dogs will lay there and wait until you get really close to them, and then they'll hop up and get out of the road. And then the minute you pass, they'll come back in. Now, sometimes if they're sound asleep and they're an old dog, you've got to tap your horn. Once they hear that horn beep, just a short, quick little tap on the horn, you don't lay it on, the dog it'll alert it, and it'll jump up and it'll get out of the way. And so exercise a lot of caution with that, because if you're on a motorbike, you hit a dog, chances are you're going down. Helmets aren't required. I don't see people wearing helmets, but, well, I shouldn't say that. I do see some. I see more without than with, is what I would say. Me personally, I'll buy a motorcycle for over here, and I'll always wear a helmet. I just feel like that's the smart thing to do. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, yeah, you'll see people pass you on the right and the left side of the road. A lot of times whenever we're going someplace, we'll be going down the road, and even if we're in the slow lane and there's somebody passing us in the fast lane to our right, sometimes one of these little trucks or something will get in the motorcycle lane, if there's not a motorcycle, on the shoulder and pass you on that side. And that's very common. The other thing that's very common is when Thai people pass, the majority of them do not do it like we do in the USA. In the USA, you'll look for an opening, you have a great big opening, and you get over, early, you get past, you make sure you're several car lengths past, and then you cut back in the lane. Over here, they do not wait until there's several cars past you. It's more like several feet. It just scared the heck out of me the first few times, because they'll fly past you, and then they immediately cut right back in. And literally, I've had them cut in so close before, it's been within 2 or 3 feet of the front of the vehicle. And it's just common. It happens all the time. You just have to be on your toes and watch for it. And I don't really see that many accidents, to tell you the truth. One thing else that I do notice, though, is these little delivery trucks. In Thailand, they have these little, like, mini trucks, like little Isuzus or whatever, two-wheel drive, and they'll put these massive cargo containers on the back, super tall. So tall, in fact, that we've seen one, and they're freight haulers. I guess they're hauling freight for people. Now, why they pick the smallest truck that it is, I guess they think it's for the fuel mileage, and then they put these gigantic, tall containers on the back of them. We did see one of them. They'll get them so top heavy, I've seen them going around corners, and the truck I thought was going to fall over. I mean, literally leaning. It was so top heavy. We were going one place for dinner one evening, and we did see one that had flipped over. It was around a corner, and it was laying on its side, and stuff was scattered all over the place. These guys, they drive pretty radical. So if you see those little trucks, I'd just say stay in your lane. keep your mind focused on the road and let them get past you, because they'll come flying up on you. They'll swerve around you, swerve back in, and then they're gone. And that took me some time. The other thing I would forewarn you about to watch really, really close is driving at night. I don't really like driving at night because a lot of these people out in the villages, they'll have motorcycles, and their motorcycles are so old, all of the electrical's out on them. They don't have any tail light, they don't have any headlight, and they'll still go out and drive down these dark farm roads. The roads aren't lit as well in the village and around it, surrounding it, like they are in the USA. Very few lights. Most of the lights are solar, so they're pretty dim. And you can be driving down the road at night on a fairly major road, and I've seen people riding those little mini scooters, 150 Hondas, and no tail light, no reflector, nothing on the back, and they'd have one of those strap-on headlights, like you'd wear if you were out, hunting or something in the woods, and that's their headlight and how they're seeing where they're going. So, and all of a sudden, you're on the highway and you come up on that, and even though they're in their slow lane over there, it startles you because, it's night, you don't see anything, and all of a sudden you just see this person on this little motorbike. So exercise a lot of caution with that, because the last thing you'd want to do is hurt somebody. I was trying to think, one of the other oddities, and I can't remember. I'll see if I put it in my note. Oh, I know what I was going to talk to you about. Getting your international driver's license. If you're from the United States, AAA is probably your best bet because it is recognized here. They're recognized in, I think, almost all 160 countries. As long as you've got a valid driver's license, you can go into AAA. I believe the cost is $35. The AAA in my area also will take you a passport photo, or you can go to a pharmacy or wherever and get some passport photos. You do have to have a valid driver's license for your state. You show them your valid driver's license, and they will make you an international driver's license. Now then, the key to this is when you have the international driver's license, if I remember correctly, it was good for 12 months. And whenever you are driving in Thailand, you are legal in Thailand with that to drive. But the catch is be sure you carry not only the international driver's license, but you must have your valid state driver's license with you. If you get pulled over by the police, you can't just have the international license, the paper. You must have them both. So be sure if you do that, you don't want to have any problem with the law over here. Get your international driver's license. It's worth $35. Then if you decide to retire, like I'm going to over here in Thailand, I'm going to go and I'm going to have an agency help me the first go around. And I'm just going to go ahead and get my Thai license here. And I have a motorcycle endorsement in the States, and the difference in the licensing here is if you have a motorcycle endorsement, you actually carry two licenses in Thailand. You have one license that's for a motor vehicle and one license that is for a motorcycle. And then I have like a heavy truck license on mine and a chauffeur's license. So those aren't separate. Those are all on the driver's license, is what I was told. But I'm going to get those. And the main reason I want to just get my actual physical license for Thailand is because that can be used as a form of ID. So once I have that, instead of every place I go always carrying this big bulky passport with me, I've got like a little miniature copy of my passport page that's sealed up in plastic. I can carry in my wallet, and I can carry my motorcycle license and my driver's license, and that will act as identification for me here in Thailand. So that just kind of simplifies things, since I plan on being here, at a minimum 6-8 months out of each year. So I guess that's pretty well going to sum it up. There's going to be a lot more things to this guy. I know that there's more to it, and there's so many things that I can't tell you about driving here. One thing I will caution you on is here where they have roundabouts, remember, they're going the opposite direction. So that really threw me at first, because I was used to the direction in the USA and seeing it opposite here. Just, you've got to think backwards if you're from the USA on just everything here. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope this helps you. If you came over here and been driving, or if you've went to a different country and ran into this same scenario, leave me a comment. Let me know what you've seen and how it's worked for you. I'd be really curious. So this is Rick with Rick's Adventures. I'm signing off, guys, and I'll see you soon. Be sure and take care. Be safe.